Hi, Mel here, and today I'm taking you with me on my Airfrance transatlantic business class flight aboard one of their A350-900s. This flight from Chicago to Paris takes close to 8 hours, and I hope you'll follow along for the journey. Based on my flight, do I agree with Air France when they describe themselves as chic? Or did the experience fall short? I hope you'll come along with me today to find out, and stick around until the end to learn how much I paid for this flight. I think the low cost might really shock you. Also, if you enjoy this type of content, I hope you'll hit the like button and subscribe. And with that out of the way, let's get started. My flight was leaving from Terminal 5 at Chicago O'Hare's International Airport. And as always, I made sure to give myself enough time to visit the lounge before my flight. If I had had any bags to check, I could have used the Sky Priority lanes to check in. But since I only had carry-on luggage, I headed straight to security. As a side note, I have global access, which gives me TSA pre-check, and I also have Clear membership. Both were free to me because of credit card benefits. And while I love global access, I don't often find much value in the Clear membership, to be honest. But on this particular day, I actually used it. Once I got through security, I headed straight to the Delta Sky Club Lounge. The reason I could visit the Delta Lounge is that Air France is part of the Sky Team Alliance, and so is Delta. So because I had a business class ticket on a Sky Team Alliance carrier, I was able to visit Delta's Sky Club Lounge. I reviewed this lounge in an earlier video, so if you're interested in a closer look, I'll leave a link in the description below. But for now, here's a quick look. As boarding time approached, I left the lounge and made my way to gate M19. When I arrived, I got my first look at the aircraft taking me to Paris, the beautiful A350-900. The wide-body A350s are the latest addition to the Air France fleet, and the airline uses them on many of their long-haul routes going into and out of their hub in Paris. Air France boards their long-haul flights by zone number, with Zone 1 being used for business class passengers. So here we go. The A350-900 has two different cabin configurations. In this version, the business class cabin has 34 Safran Optima seats, arranged in a staggered 1-to-1 configuration, where every seat has direct aisle access. For the window seats, the even number seats are closer to the window, and the odd number seats are closer to the aisle. You can select your seat ahead of time on Air France for no cost. So if you're traveling alone, try to snag an even number window seat for the most privacy and the best view. I booked seat 6L. If you're traveling as a couple, the middle row might be best for you. The seats are next to each other in the even rows, and apart in the odd rows. When I arrived at my seat, I found a hanger, a pillow, and a blanket. The seat and surrounding area look modern and high-end. Air France does a great job with materials, lighting, the fine details, and their chic color selections. Once I'm seated, I stretch out my legs and assess how comfortable the seat is. There's plenty of legroom. The width of the seat is 20 inches, which is fine for me, but I can imagine that some people might find it to be a bit narrow. Across from me is the coat hook, and to my lower left is the literature pocket. Also to my left is a console with countertop space, a reading light, and a control panel that allows you to control your overhead light, activate Do Not Disturb mode, call a flight attendant, and adjust your seat. Lower down are the controls that convert the seat to a lie-flat bed. But if you're still upright and want to rest your arms, there's a surprisingly small and flimsy armrest that folds down. And yes, there's a matching one on the other side. On top of the console is a spacious locker with the noise-canceling headphones and a bottle of water, as well as a lot of extra space for your personal belongings. To the left of the locker is the remote for the in-flight entertainment, and there's a port for the headphones right there as well. Underneath the locker is a convenient power port to charge your devices. Directly in front of you is the large HD in-flight entertainment touchscreen, which we'll look at more closely a bit later. And right underneath the screen, you can find a USB port and the tray table. Looking up, I'm met with my first disappointment of the day: no overhead air vents. I really prefer having some control over the temperature when I'm flying, rather than being at the mercy of the cabin crew, but I guess I'll hope for the best. I felt a little better once I discovered the automated window shades. Definitely a nice touch. Before takeoff, the flight attendant brought by a glass of champagne, the Amenity Kit, and the menu. I had pre-ordered my dinner before the flight, but the crew didn't have any record of my order, so I studied the menu to make a new selection. The starter was the same for everyone: duck breast, an endive salad, and green beans, beets, and walnuts. For my main course, I selected the prime rib with red wine sauce, served with potatoes, carrots, and celeriac. Everyone also receives a cheese plate and a dessert of red berry cheesecake. Airfrance also offers an express dinner, but rather than being a complete meal that you can get more quickly, it appears to just be the starter, cheese, and dessert without the main course. That's a bit strange in my opinion. For breakfast, you can choose between a full meal with juice, a hot beverage, bread, pastries, yogurt, a fresh fruit salad, and a tomato omelet. Or you can opt to sleep longer and just have a pastry and drink before landing. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, and the flight attendant said I could just wait and see based on when I woke up. I thought that was really nice, and I really appreciated her flexibility. On to the drink options. It's not the longest wine list I've seen on a flight, but the options were good and varied enough to satisfy most people. In addition to champagne, they offer a couple of white wines and a couple of red wines. You can also choose from a list of aperitifs or digestifs. Or if you prefer a non-alcoholic drink, they offer plenty of cold and hot options. I placed my order and decided that this was the perfect time to check out the Amenity Kit. To set up the tray table, you simply pull it out and swivel it into place. The tabletop is quite large and very stable. The amenities come in a small blue tweed zippered bag. First out are the standard socks, an eye mask and earplugs, toothbrush and toothpaste, an Airfrance pen, and finally, Clarins Beauty Flash Balm, which apparently moisturizes, brightens, and tightens, and Clarins Hydra Essential Moisturizing Gel, which they claim moisturizes and plumps your skin. Somehow, Airfrance manages to make their pre-departure safety announcement quite chic.
In the center and at the back.
En cas d'évacuation, laissez vos bagages à leur place, suivez les signaux et les marquages lumineux au sol jusqu'à l'issue la plus proche. Les membres de l'équipage portant comme un signe rouge sont chargés de votre sécurité.
In case of evacuation, please leave all your belongings behind. Let the signs and floor lighting guide you to the nearest exit. Crew members wearing a red badge
And finally, it's time for takeoff. Once we are well on our way and the seatbelt sign is off, I decide to check out the bathroom. Other than a slightly discolored sink, it's pretty standard in terms of size and condition. And it was really clean, so far at least. They also provide a couple of clearance products. I made my way back to my seat. And a few minutes later, the cabin lights were replaced by ambient lighting that were clearly designed to coordinate with the Airfrance color scheme. Since dinner still hadn't arrived, I thought I'd explore the in-flight entertainment options. As I mentioned before, the noise-canceling headphones are already plugged in inside the locker, so they're set and ready to go. I liked the amount of padding they had, and I found them to be quite comfortable. The remote is stored to the left of the storage locker. You can control the entertainment screen with the remote, but it's a touchscreen as well, which I actually prefer. I would rate the in-flight entertainment as average. It's not the worst I've seen, but also not the best. Overall, though, I think most people can probably find something to keep themselves entertained. And if not, Airfrance provides you with the ability to pair your own device and the screen. I love that. By this time in the flight, it was dark outside, and I was getting a little nervous about how late the dinner service was apparently going to be served. I know late dinners are customary in France, but on a short flight, I actually appreciate eating as early as possible so that I still have time to sleep. Just as I was about to lose hope, they served me another glass of champagne and a box of cheese-filled crackers, and I was sure that this must be the start of the dinner. I enjoyed the snack and closed my shade in eager anticipation. Finally, the flight attendant was back with my tray of food. and my glass of wine. The tray included everything but the main course, and while it was all very nicely presented, I was surprised by the tray. I know all the American carriers use trays too, but I guess I expected more from a French carrier. Nevertheless, the food itself was very good. After I had finished the first course, the flight attendant came by with my main course and a choice of mustards. This was my second surprise of the meal because I had ordered prime rib, but I was pretty sure that this was not prime rib. But to be honest, it was delicious, all of it. The beef was tender, flavorful, and well seasoned, and the vegetables were perfection, especially with the red wine sauce. I ate every bite. Next came the trio of cheeses, which I paired with the dinner roll. Again, I thought this course was great. Finally, my favorite course, dessert. But again, I was surprised because this was very clearly not red berry cheesecake. And here's the funny part, the flight attendant happened to be walking by, so I asked her what it was, and she answered that it was red berry cheesecake. Okay. The good news is that I would pick this mystery dessert over red berry cheesecake any day. It was so good, and if I had to guess, I would say it was some sort of salted caramel mousse with cookie crumbles. If you've ever had this on Airfrance and know what it is, let me know in the comments. The last part of my dinner was a cup of chamomile tea with honey that I hoped might help me sleep. We were only 5 hours away from landing at this point, so I drank it quickly and got ready for bed. Getting ready to sleep made me appreciate the ambient lighting even more. I closed my little privacy shade, made my seat into a lie-flat bed, and put the pillow and blanket into place. I asked if they had a pad to put over the seat, but unfortunately they didn't. I climbed in and found I had plenty of legroom. The foot space isn't overly wide, but it definitely worked for me. But what didn't work for me was the temperature of the cabin. I feel bad complaining because I know how lucky I was to have a lie-flat seat, but it was so hot. I was burning up. I am not a good sleeper even when conditions are optimal, and the stuffy, overheated cabin made it very difficult to get any quality sleep. I eventually fell asleep, but was awake every hour or so because I was so hot. I finally gave up altogether when I heard them preparing breakfast. At this point, I saw that we were 1 hour and 19 minutes from landing. I checked my sleep app, and as expected, I only got 3 hours and 13 minutes of poor quality sleep. Plus, I apparently coughed a lot even though I wasn't sick. I'm guessing it was because of the stifling heat. But thankfully, the beautiful view quickly cheered me up and reminded me how lucky I truly am. Breakfast came, and once again, I thought everything was delicious. I was also impressed with the variety of food. As a big breakfast fan, this was my kind of meal. Before I knew it, we had started our descent. The flight attendant cleared my breakfast dishes and gave me a hot towel. I took a minute to enjoy the tail view from the outboard camera and out the window. With the French landscape growing closer and closer, let's get back to the initial question. Is Air France as chic as they say they are, or did the experience fall short? Before I answer, I want to preface my comments by saying that any flight in business class is great. And I feel so lucky that I get to experience premium cabins when I fly due to the points and miles game. And for this flight, I got a ridiculously good deal thanks to the January 2024 Bilt transfer bonus to Flying Blue. This flight plus the connecting flight from Paris to Toulouse cost a total of 50,000 miles plus $222 in taxes and fees. But as a Bilt Platinum member, I got a 150% transfer bonus, which means that I only had to transfer 20,000 points from Bilt in order to receive 50,000 points in my Flying Blue account. So my total cost to fly from Chicago to Paris to Toulouse was 20,000 miles plus $222 in taxes and fees. I think this might rank up there as one of my best business class deals ever, and clearly at that price, this was an amazing flight. But in these reviews, I assume that many of you watching will be paying quite a bit more than that to book this route, so I'll evaluate the flight with that in mind. On the positive side, my seat and surrounding area were attractive, clean, and in good shape. The seat was comfortable for both sitting and sleeping, and I also really liked the ambient lighting. Overall, I feel like Air France has it figured out when it comes to both design and execution. Additionally, the flight attendants were really nice, and the food and drinks were all top-notch. On the negative side, although the food was great, and that's obviously the most important part, the tray service was a bit of a surprise, especially since the French are known for their food and fine dining. Also, I thought it was strange that the food didn't match the menu. That caramel dessert was delicious, but it was definitely not berry cheesecake. But clearly the worst part of the flight for me was the lack of sleep. Between the late dinner service and the uncomfortably hot cabin, I really did not get much rest. And if you've watched prior reviews, you know that sleep is one of my top priorities on transatlantic flights. So I guess my answer is that Air France is certainly justified in calling themselves chic. But this particular flight fell short in some areas. Thanks for coming along with me today. Comment below if you have any questions. If you've experienced Air France business class yourself, I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you're interested in a review of the second leg of this journey, from Paris to Toulouse, let me know. Also, remember to hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you want more travel content like this. Until next time, happy travels.